Yo, what's up, my beautiful people? I want to thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review, season 2, episode 17, entitled Addicted. I want to thank you guys for continuing to tune in, for your support, all the new subscribers, all the people who are commenting, all the people who have reached out to me today. Let me tell you something. You guys y'all made my day. I have talked to so many people today regarding the show. I love talking about the show, and I can't wait to do this review. It might be long. I'm going to just put it out there. It might be long. If I see it going too long, I'll stop it and I'll make like a part 2 or another video, because I really want to dig into the Andy, Karen, Gary situation. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know how I do, so let's get right into it. Now, the show opens up with Zach and Rhea. Zach was still pleading his innocence. Rhea was still pretty much accusing him of the kilo of cocaine and the credit card fraud. She really wasn't trying to hear too much of what Zach had to say, and I just really think she was disappointed. I still believe that Rhea was overstepping her bounds a little bit. She was definitely incorporating her personal feelings and her personal, I guess, wants or desires for Zach into her professional situation. I didn't like that. So pretty much with them, Zach asked her could he use her phone. She declined, and he was like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Y'all know how he do. I can't believe you're doing this to me. And I'm like, Zach, you're in jail. You are in a cell, homie. You're a criminal right now. We know you didn't do this stuff, but baby boy, right now you are a true criminal in the eyes of the law, and in the eyes of Rhea, and in the eyes of the other people who are there, okay? So you know what's really interesting? Someone messaged me today, and then they were like, when are you going to say something nice about Zach? And I said, when Tyler writes something nice about Zach. So I have no problem saying anything nice about Zach. I hate the way that his character has been written. I absolutely hate it. It's one of those things where I believe more people pity Zach than they actually like or adore Zach. It's more of a pity kind of situation they have for him, or he's looked down upon like he's this helpless person who cannot fend for himself. And so for me, it seems as if Tyler's only value he has written into this character is what's dangling between his legs. And I believe that he's more valuable than that. And I really hope that, that stigma about him is changed, because as of right now, he's not depicted as, to me, a man that is desired by a woman who is about her shit. I know people give Fatima a lot of props. Y'all know I don't. But I just wish that it was more to him than what we have been able to see. And also, it is quite visible that Zach has this unrealistic expectations of the women in his life. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Andy, he wants Rhea to call Andy to be his representation. He wants Rhea to use her phone. She ain't supposed to be doing that anyway, and he has an expectation that you're gonna do this for me. The same with Danny. She is almost presented to provide him food and shelter. He's known Fatima less than a month, and he's called her twice to bail him out of jail. So when you look at these things, it's like, wait a minute, like, where is Chris? And for those who have forgotten, because it's easy to forget who the hell Chris is, because he has fallen off the face of the earth, Chris is Karen's mom, Lil Tenderoni, who got Zach in the program anyway. Where is he? Tyler, where are Zach's friends? Where his friends at, Tyler? It's just unrealistic, and I'm just really tired of seeing it. So that's all really what happened with that situation. So let's get to Andy and Fatima. Fatima goes into Andy's office to alert her that it's after 5 o'clock. Andy didn't even realize it. She was working. She told Fatima that she could leave. Immediately after Fatima walked out of Andy's office, she called to Gary to come over so they could talk, just talk. I don't really know why I'm calling you. I'm like, Heifer, you know why you calling this man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Andy, I'm going to tell y'all the truth, and I'm going to be very explicit when I talk about Andy later on in this review. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for my profanity. Because it's going to come out. I'm going to be quite transparent, tell y'all what I was thinking. I'm actually thinking about doing, recording while I'm watching the show so y'all could get my, initial reaction to these things, because I be funny as hell. I crack my own self up. So she calls Gary. He's coming over. I don't know why I'm doing it. Why we do that? I don't know. I just wanted to text you. I really didn't want nothing. But we know what the hell we be doing, women. Andy, oh gosh, she touched the nerve. So we're going to skip over her. That's all I want to say about her in that moment. I enjoyed, and I mean I thoroughly enjoyed when Jacoby stepped up to Maurice to let him know, you bet not call me another bitch. Maurice acting like the wind got sucked out of him because he can't believe Jacoby is talking to him this way. And I'm thinking to myself, you have been so disrespectful to this guy since he appeared. He has never done anything to you. He had never disrespected you and still hasn't. Yet you consistently call this man out his name. So I loved how Jacoby stepped to him. I love what he said to him. I didn't find anything, out of whack with what he said. He's letting you know, hey, this is what you will not do. This is what you should do. Do your job good for once. I holler. Because I'm like, Maurice, why you the only person that when it's time for the bank to close, you ain't did what you needed to do? You always got to be the one left behind. You always got to be the one who still counting his money. Your reports are not done. I don't even understand it. And we know in real life, in real world, not in Tyler's world, but real world, no teller or whatever your position is, you're going to be left alone in the bank with no security, no supervisor. It don't work that way. But in Thailand, everything works. So when Sabrina came up, Jacoby was like, hey, Sabrina, he was done with his reports. He gave Sabrina his information. And on the top, there was a sticky note that was letting her know where he was going to be. And, she was smiling and all of that good stuff like that. And he said, good night, Maurice. Maurice didn't say anything. And so she was like, you're not going to say good night? And he was like, I'm not saying anything to that B. Team too much. Maurice is team too damn much. And team too damn much to all the damn time. he's just entirely too much. So he was like, I saw your little note or whatever. And he brings up Calvin. And I'm like, why do you consistently bring up Calvin, which I hate? Now, we ain't seen Calvin in a minute. I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss him on screen. Now, I don't know what the hell they doing because it's been 2 episodes since I've seen Aaron. It needs not to make it 3. Okay, I better see him next week. That's all I'm saying. But Sabrina she was playing coy about, what this. But she could not wait to get out of that bank to go and meet up with Jacoby. And that brother's so fine. I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. I would have been right along with her, sis. Yeah, right there. He's just that fine. That man is so sexy to me. Golly. It's sad how much I lusted last night when I was watching that show. It made absolutely no sense. So Danny was extremely rude and disrespectful to Preston's sister for no valid reason at all. I know that a lot of people were stating, well, she's on alert after what happened with his brothers. I can understand that to a certain extent because Preston has told Danny numerous of times that he and his sister are nothing like the rest of his family. And if it wasn't for the sister, there would be no Preston and Danny, because initially Preston was too shy to even approach her. She approached Danny. It was just seemed too much. I did not like that scene. I just didn't understand where that energy was coming from with this person who has never done anything to you. She was all bubbly and happy and, that just bubbly. And I'm like, she didn't do nothing to you, Danny. So why you bringing this, this woman, this type of energy? And the one thing I absolutely despised about that scene was when Danny called Sabrina to let her know what was going on. And she let it be implied that, because Sabrina was like, they got this money just to pop up on you. And then it was like, yeah, girl, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, what? Clearly, Preston's sister stated that she had just landed, which lets me know that either she works, she goes out of town on business, or she actually does not live in Georgia, that she was flying in to see her family or Preston or whatever. But I'm like, Danny, come on now. I just didn't like that scene. I didn't like the energy that was behind it. It was team too much because I didn't understand. And like I stated, I do realize that she had a run-in with the brothers, but they were very aggressive with her. They were disrespectful, calling her out her name, and the sister just did not represent that and did not display that type of behavior thought process or energy to Danny for Danny to come at her the way that she did. And the girl was so bubbly, she didn't even know she was being disrespected. She just laughed it off. I'm saying, this woman ditzy. I bet she's sweet as pie, as they say. Sweet as pie, but she ditzy as hell. So Fatima, well, let me finish Danny them. So Danny gets home, Preston done cooked this nice meal. He cleaned up and everything. And he's, trying to make an attempt to tell her that his sister is there. So Danny told him that, she saw the sister at the airport. And Danny was like, why are there 3 plates? And she was like, look, Zach is not your friend. And so he was like, look, it's still food here. Zach was here. There wouldn't be any food left. And she was just like, oh, well, who's here? Then the sister comes out, all bubbly and perky. Danny picks up the wine bottle and takes it to the head. I said, you know what? Now, Preston, you should have told Danny, your sister, you invited her over for dinner. Baby, you okay with that? I know you living there. I know you paying the rent and everything, but we don't do that. You don't just, and Preston going back to that bad habit, just popping up and making your way into Danny's house. Now you done invited your sister to come in. And so I could feel Danny on that tip because I don't like people being at my house that I don't know about. So if you're inviting someone, we need to make plans and it needs to be ran by me, or you need to inform me or ask, am I cool with it, before you just do it. So Preston, let that be known. Now that you're living with somebody, baby, you got to make sure you got to check in, because after work, I don't know about nobody else, Black women, we have a routine. Wrap that hair, take off them clothes, get into something comfortable. That's just what we do. So I Preston got to do better, baby. You just got to do better. So that's all that happened with them. He could tell that Danny wasn't too happy about that, and that was all for them that we saw. So Fatima finally listens to her damn voicemail to hear, that Zach left her a message. So she's kind of like, what in the world? Then she sees Hayden. They're in the parking garage. And she asked him, like, did he do anything? He like, what you talking about? And she was like, don't let me find out you did something. And he basically asked her, like, you want to go to dinner tonight? And she was like, F off. So Hayden has really become a nuisance on the show. He's like, that little gnat that just flies around you that you want to kill so bad, but it's so quick that you can't hit it. Those are the vibes that Hayden is giving out right now. He just a gnat that just won't and can't be killed. But somebody gonna stump on him. I just believe that, because he get on my nerves. So I'm gonna leave Andy them. They're gonna be the last thing that I talk about, because I really, really want to dig in that, and I really don't want to make this review that long because I want to spend a lot of time with them. So getting into Sabrina and Jacoby. So they're at the bar, they're having a drink. Jacoby has unbuttoned like 2 buttons on his shirt. I ain't complaining, because I loved the view that he was giving, okay? So now all of a sudden, so many people hate Jacoby. So it's like, oh, something wrong with him. I don't like him. I knew it was something strange about him. Look how he talking about Maurice. I don't know what's going on. Why Sabrina? I said, well, damn, wait a minute. What did he say that was offensive? What did he, now I will say this, when he made the statement about how he had never been around someone like Maurice, which I believe, because he told Maurice the same exact thing. He was like, I just never, been around someone like you. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some ignorance in the things that Jacoby was saying about Maurice. He think he's over the top, he's flamboyant, all of these things. And that's what we see. That's the way Tyler has written this particular character. And Sabrina, oh my God. Sabrina is the most judgmental sister on the show, yet she had the audacity to get mad at Jacoby for expressing his feelings, which that's what he stated. I'm just telling you how I feel. So if you don't agree with me, then why don't you challenge my opinions? So you just gonna walk away from him and not say, I just don't like how you're talking about him. Don't talk about him like that. Yet and still, you have judged the hell out of Calvin from the moment you met him. So it's almost like Jacoby is a reflection of Sabrina's judgments. She can voice her opinion about what she don't like and what he's stating, but yet and still you've done worse to Calvin. Absolutely. And this is the thing that gets me about the way Tyler writes. Out of everything that Sabrina has questioned regarding Calvin and all of this stuff about his sexuality, about, femininity traits and things of that nature, she told the girls, but she never addressed Calvin as to why he kissed that man. That would have been the first, before me and Calvin got to any other place, as far coming over to my house, us having a sexual relationship, I would have asked about, because he kissed the man on the mouth. I don't care how comfortable you are, to me, and this is just me, in your sexuality and who you are. It is not normal at all to see a heterosexual man kissing another man in his mouth. I know the Wayans brothers do it. They brothers. I understand that. But just on a regular basis, like with a friend, I've never seen it. And even correcting some of our own judgments. And for me, because I'm like, there are some people who have stated, Jacoby knows what a gay guy looked like. Jacoby has been around gay people. Well, we don't know that. That's an assumption that people are making. I know some people who don't even know if they've ever been around a gay person, because the person has never been open about who they are, what their sexual orientation is, which is no one's business. But there are some small towns, I guarantee. And trust me, I lived in a small town. There's just certain things you're not even privy to. And so I know for me, my mindset was blown when I was a freshman at Florida A&M University. I don't know if you guys remember this book, but there was a book that was written by this guy called J.L. King. And the book was called On the Down Low. It's a white cover with the black dude on there. And, you looking at him, you wouldn't think that he was gay just by observation or perception. You wouldn't believe that he was gay. But he was. And the only reason why he even got outed is because he had 2 kids and he was married and everything. His wife left to go to work or something like that, and she forgot something at the house, came back and caught him in bed with his lover. He went on a book tour. He came to Florida A&M, and he talked about it. You can't look out gay. You can't observe. You don't know what that is. You don't know who. And then this brother, who a lot of girls was feeling, he was fine as hell, chocolate braids, everything. This dates me. He was wearing the little G Unit. I used to call them little G Unit tank tops that 50 Cent was wearing back in the day, and all the little dudes had them on. I couldn't stand them things. I'm so glad they went out of style. But the dude had that on because it was a Q&A. And he stood up and he was like, "My name is so and so." He took his hat off, had his braids, and had the scully on top. And he was like, "I just want to let everybody know that, yes, I am one of the gay brothers here at Florida A&M University." And it went crazy, because by looking at him, you wouldn't think that. So you just never know. And so I love what Jacoby said. He said, "I'm not a stupid man, so educate me. I'm not dumb, but I don't understand that lifestyle. I've never been around it. I don't know." The same way with Alonzo. Look, Alonzo may be closeted, and maybe Maurice made him feel uncomfortable. I don't know. But if Jacoby is friends with Alonzo, there's nothing about Alonzo just in normal, situations that you would think that he could be gay, but he possibly can. So I like that scene because I know it made a lot of people upset, but also checking our own ignorance and also educating people on certain things that they just may not be privy to, may not have grown up around, so on and so forth. I like Jacoby. Some people was like Jacoby was a little too, aggressive. This is just me. This is just Alicia. I love a little aggressiveness now. I ain't nothing wrong with that. It was a turn on for me. Jacoby did some things to me because I'm like, ooh. Because see, we have a work demeanor and we have an after work demeanor. And let me tell you, you got to catch people after work to find out what that after work demeanor is. And so, and then we grown. We out, we drinking. I think he said something about going back to Sabrina's house, or maybe that was on the preview. I don't know. But Sabrina playing games was on the preview. She was like, "You can come to my house, have one drink, and then you leave." Girl, who you talking to? You invited Jacoby to your house because you want to bone. You want to have sex. You want to know what he working with. I don't blame you, sis. But just be real about it. All these lies going on, they just get on my nerves. But that was pretty much it. He asked her who she was seeing. She said no one. So we'll see what happened with Jacoby and Sabrina, but there was a lot of sexual energy that Jacoby was throwing, and I, for one, was not mad at it. So Fatima gets to the police department, and she finds out that Zach does not have a bail because she's not a lawyer. She can't get back to talk to him. But, Rhea finds out that he's a part of the Chain Breakers program, and she lets Fatima back. Fatima and Zach going back and forth. I didn't care. I'm just be honest with you. I didn't care. I feel bad for Zach in the sense of I know that, he did not do these things. So that's why I feel bad. No one should be locked up for something that they did not do. I agree with that. But I can't take no more Zach whining. I mean, my God. I realize it just irritates my soul. He whines all the time and then try to insinuate that Fatima knew something about the drugs, and I don't know. I'm not liking where that's going. I find no interest in it, and it's not their fault. It's Tyler's fault because the show is written like a soap opera, and I can only deal with stupidity for so long. I think we all can, because one day is like 4 episodes, and we dealing with the same mess. So it's like I'm just sick and tired of it. I don't care who took Karen money no more. I don't even care. So it's like, Tyler, come on, shit. Just let it be revealed. That's all I got to say about them. So, get into the nitty gritty with Andy and Karen. I had 5 people message me today specifically for this. One young lady who messaged me, her thing was she wanted to know my opinion about the thing that Andy said to Karen regarding Zach. And I was like, I'm actually going to talk about that in my review. So, I forgot your name, your screen name, whatever the case may be, but you know who I'm talking about. So this is how I feel about that entire situation. Okay? Like I said, excuse my language because I'm not finna, I'm just going to keep it all the way real. So Andy is the most selfish, self-centered, and egotistical sister on the show. Andy really believes that the sun rises and sets on her ass. And it's getting to the point that I can't stand Andy. Everybody had their own opinions about the things that she said to Karen regarding Zach. This is how I feel about it. She came into me in the shop with an intent to be deceitful, to be dishonest. She came in and talked about how she just wanted Karen to listen to her, like uninterrupted, just listen. So Karen kind of made a face, but she, agreed to it. So Andy made the statement like she felt like she was going backwards or something like that. Like she feels like she should be married by now. She feels that her life should be in a better position by now at this point in her life. And I said, that's a universal emotion. I believe that at one point in time in our lives that we have all felt that way about something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's our professional life, whatever it may be. We've all experienced that at least once. And I'm like, but baby, Andy, you cannot feel like you stuck and you backwards and you feel like you should have a marriage and you have not proven that you even worthy of that. How you gonna get ahead by trying to build a future with someone else's husband? Andy, it don't work that way. It does not work like that. And so I just, and I feel like Karen knew it was bullshit the moment that Andy came in her shop. Because she knew she was lying. You know what I'm saying? So when they sat down and, she was like, she just feels stuck and all of this stuff. She was becoming emotional. Karen said, I still love Zach, right? But I've moved on. Andy says, Karen, you haven't moved on from Zach. And she was like, yes, I have. No, you haven't. You're just using Aaron to fill a void like I'm using Paris to fill a void. I said, you nasty, miserable bitch. I'm sorry. I was like, and Karen was like, why would you even say something like that? And then she started talking about how good Zach dick was. That's why Karen keep taking her back every time he makes love to you. And I was like, wait a minute. Two things that Andy does that it really sickens me. And this is where you have to be so mindful of the friends that you allow in your life and the things that you tell them. Because to me, Andy is a piss poor friend. Number one, if you go back to episode 6 of this season, when they went to the club to honor Maurice, Andy said this to Karen. She said, I have never seen you this happy. You're scaring me. So what was she happy about, sis? Andy, what was Karen so smiley about, so giddy about? What was that? That was a result from having a man in her life who she was starting to grow with, starting to get to know a little better, starting to really appreciate who he is as a person. And I hated that Andy would devalue what Karen is building with Aaron, because she doesn't want to be the friend that's left out. She doesn't want to be the friend that doesn't have a man. She doesn't want to be the friend that is not being loved the way that she deserves to be loved. Well, you keep putting yourself in these positions, Andy, not anyone else. So I hated that. And then every time that Karen begins to hit on some truth with Andy, Andy always bring up Zach. Every time. It started, I think the first time it happened was after the club scene. So after Andy had not slept with Paris, she came to Karen's house to find Karen and Aaron at the table eating breakfast. Now, I believe that Andy believes Karen and Aaron are being intimate, are having sex, which we know that they're not. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, on the girls' night out, it was only Karen, Sabrina, and Danny when Danny asked, was Karen and Aaron having sex? And she said no. Andy wasn't there at that time. But I believe that's what Andy believes. She believes that that they're intimate. And they're not intimate, baby. That's not the nature of their relationship, which is something Andy can't understand right now. Then the next time she brought it up was when Gary initially popped up on her at the parking garage. She called Karen, of course. Karen left the poor girl in the shop who was getting her hair done to do what? To run over to Andy. And, Karen said that, I love Zach, but it's not going to work. Like, we are not good together. He took so much from me. Like, I have nothing else to give to that person. And she was like, just like Gary has taken so much from you, Andy, you have to move on. She brought up Zach did. So you really over Zach? And she was like, I have to. Like, I have to move on with my life. I deserve more. And I think that there have been, because the young lady who messaged me, she felt that Karen wasn't convincing enough about, or she didn't convince her that she was really, done with Zach. And I just feel like because Karen knows her friend, she didn't go into too much detail. She knew what Andy was trying to do. That little reverse psychology shit didn't work. You came over here, you want to get into an argument. You want to make yourself feel better for going back to Gary. Because that was the second thing that Karen said. She was like, you messing with Gary. No, I'm not. She was like, okay, well, I'm sorry then. Then when Andy said, no, I just want to be alone, Karen knew from the jump. So why would I go out of my way to try to convince someone who I know is on bullshit? You know what I'm saying? So, no, I just, Andy is just a piece of work. And I'm just like, you just got to be mindful of friends like that. Because Andy would be one of those friends that I would want to put hands on. And when they get to that place, you just got to separate from that person. Because when I get to the point that I want to beat your ass and you're my friend, we need to reevaluate our situation. So Andy goes home. Who comes over? Gary, of course, with his manila envelope. And he wanted to show her that he was divorced. He wanted to show her that, he was seeking counseling. He's getting help. Now, mind you, we know how this show worked. What has it been? 2.5 days since he about choked the damn life out of her? Baby, your counseling ain't working. It may be working, but you're not ready to see Andy. You're not ready to be around Andy because it's been 2 days, bruh. 2. Since you tried to choke her out. Why are we having this conversation? You know what I'm saying? And I saw, oh my God. Some mindsets really scare me. And this came from a man. This man stated that Karen needs to be more supportive of Andy. I said, support what? And this is some real shit. When you have people in your life who are going through things like that, they don't even realize what it does to you. I've seen people who to get hurt terminally, jacked up for forever because they trying to be super save-a-hole for their friend and they get hurt in the process. It made me think about what's love got to do with it. When they all in there and what's his name? I can't think of the man's name right now. Ike. Ike tried to make Anime eat that damn cake. And Anime didn't want to eat that cake. And Anime, he smushed that cake in her face and she threw that damn water on him. Jackie tried to help. And what happened? Ike slapped the dog shit out of Jackie. It ain't funny. But I'm just saying, that's what happens when you interfere in situations that ain't none of your business. And Karen, sis, you might just have to fall all the way back. So what we saw was Andy was like, oh my God, I can't believe she did it. Like, I can't believe she signed the divorce papers. I told you once I got divorced, I wanted us to get married. I was gonna propose to you. He gets down and propose. She all but oh God, I wanted to slap the hell out of her so bad. And she was like, I have to think about it. They kiss and everything. So as he walking out, I just knew Karen was on the other side of that door. So she comes in, oh, hello, and just looks at Andy, and that's how the show goes off. So we see that next week, Karen was telling her, like, you need to wake the hell up. You know, at first Andy says, I think you need to leave. And she says, I think you need to wake the hell up. Andy says, I don't care what you think. I said, well, damn. Be careful who you push away, Andy. Be careful who you push away. I know this not gonna happen, but this is my hope. I hope when we watch next week, y'all remember the scene in Baby Boy when Jody had his bike, his mama was kicking him out after he got into that fight with Melvin, and he was like, don't call me when this nigga start beating your ass. If Karen can say something like that, because we know what's gonna happen. He's still abusive, he's still manipulative, and he's still controlling. Nothing has happened to Gary in those 2 days to cause this miraculous change. And in a sense, when you have been abused, and we know that Andy has a tendency of dating abusive men, it's something about you. I really want Andy to get counseling. I really want her to go to therapy. I don't know if Tyler's going to write that in the script, but I really want to see that. I really want to see her, you know, go through these different phases of her life to deal with whatever is causing her to choose these types of men. What causes her not to be a good friend to her friends? What causes her to try to minimize her friend's happiness because she's not happy with herself? You know what I'm saying? So some people, like I said, that's how I took the conversation with Andy and Karen. I took it as, I always said that Andy was a hater, but the things that she was saying, even though Tyler wrote it very lightly, like in a lightly manner, it still penetrated. Like, you're not happy for your friend. You want her to stay stuck just like you. You want her to stay in a relationship that's on sinking sand just like you. She's the worst friend out of the bunch. She's the absolute worst. It just really, like, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. You know, in my life, I have pushed away people that, I'm not going to say I regret it, but I wish I would have handled it differently. You know, that's why I said, be careful who you push away, because some people you ain't going to get back. Or if you do get them back, the dynamic of your relationship is forever changed. And I know that personally from, you know, a guy I was seeing who didn't deserve the way that I did him. And a friend of mine, with my friend, my heart was in the right place. But the way that I handled it was not, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool, even though my heart was in the right place when I did it. And I didn't mean anything malicious, but it was just the way I moved. It wasn't cool. And we're cool. I hadn't seen this person since 2008. I saw them for the first time last year. All that time, from 2008 to 2020. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful who you push away. And, you know, with Andy, I do have some form of compassion. It's very little, because I'm like, right now you are choosing to be dumb. You're choosing to be dumb. I ain't got no talk for that. Someone asked me, do I believe if Fatima is being Captain Save a Hold of Zach? Yes. Fatima has done so much for someone who she does not even know. And I'm not saying she should turn her back on Zach, but what I'm saying is, you work at a law firm, get somebody to help. I don't even think that that Andy does criminal law, but get someone who can help him, and you step back, sis. You know what I'm saying? You step back, let him deal with his situations, even though he's innocent. Let him deal with his situations, and when he's done and y'all want to rekindle. But she's doing too much. She's doing entirely too much for somebody who just banging your back out. Like, I don't even understand that. Like, okay, this thing 34 minutes long, but I don't get it. I would like to see just more cohesiveness. I know we get into the season finale, so I know it's going to be all kind of crazy things to happen. I just hope we just get some resolve. We get some answered questions. Why did James lie on Calvin doing meth, saying he saw him? We still don't know about that. All of a sudden, Jasmine just signed these papers. Last time we saw Jasmine, she was bruised and bloody in the hospital bed. Where's she at? But this is what happens when you fall in love with a Tyler Perry show. You gonna get some unanswered questions. I would really love to hear what y'all think about this whole thing with that conversation with Andy and Karen. Like, how do you really feel about their friendship? Because to me, they're, like I said, I want to do a video about their friendship in comparison to Danny and Sabrina's friendship, because they're really toxic. All their relation, I love them as friends, but Andy is the absolute worst. She's the absolute worst friend. But I hope I didn't miss anything. But and I may do a separate video to get more detailed about this whole thing with Andy and Karen, to really, like, go through it with a fine tooth comb and just really air that out when you're dealing with friends who cannot congratulate you. Be careful for those who don't congratulate you. You know what I'm saying? They can smile in your face but won't clap for you. Smile in your face but won't yell for you, won't cheer for you. Just be, mindful, you know what I'm saying, of those friendships. And we're at an age, when you 36 like that, your dynamic with your friends have already changed. But then you get to a point where you start saying, what is this person's value in my life? What do they mean to me? Now, the value don't have to mean anything deep. It could be like, I like having him around because he makes me think a little deeper. I like having her around because when we get together, our personalities just mesh. It doesn't have to be anything deep. It could be that. But let it be something while you have that person in your life. Make sure that they're feeding you and giving you exactly what you're giving them. And if they're not, sometimes you just have to, bid or do. And let it be what it be. And let it be what it is. But I'm gonna end this review. I would like to hear what y'all think about it. The show. Thank y'all for listening. I will holler at y'all later. Be safe. Until next time. One.